And for those that are still not convinced that we need to stockpile our groceries, let's talk about it again. Back in a minute. Good morning. Good morning. This is Jan from New York City, and I love to help people keep some more of their own hard earned money. Could that person be you? Sure, it could be. How you doing today? Hope that this audio video, as always, finds everybody doing well. And if you're brand new here, please know this, that I record these videos all the time, Monday through Friday. I lift them up to the airwaves at 5 a.m. Eastern. So I have a whole bunch of other videos of this nature on camera and off camera, whatever you're liking. Take a look at the over 1,500 videos, 1,500 videos that I have in my pocket. Well, actually, we all do on our smartphones and on our TVs and wherever. There you go. On this platform. How you doing today? Hope you're doing well, and I really mean that from the bottom of my heart. I'm sitting here at my nice 15-cent cup of coffee. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I am still sitting here with my 15-cent cup of coffee. Yes, yes, yes. Even in 023. Yep. Even with high prices. Yep. When there's a way, there's a way. And when there's a will, there's a way, for sure and for true. All joking aside, you listen to the news, right? You don't dwell on the news, but we listen to news events, and without getting like specific about news events, because I don't want to do that. But I could tell you this, from some of the events that I view on the news, I start scratching my head. I want to grab another 15-cent cup of coffee and go, what? I have learned this much. Isn't it better to err on the side of caution when it comes to stockpiling for grocery items? You know, I don't believe in banking on a maybe. What does that mean? Well, there could be situations in life where you count on something and you think it's really, really going to happen, but you really don't know for sure. And then what happens is, and sometimes people do this with spending money too. They think they're going to get some sort of a windfall in some area. Like I said, think. There's no actual proof of it for sure and for real. It is not solid. It's not like, for example, when you go to to a job and you work for an employer, for example, and you put in your duly acknowledged 40 hours that week, you will know with great certainty that that employer owes you for the work that you did for the 40 hours. Just saying, just saying. As opposed to, well, maybe I'll get something, like other situations where it is a definite maybe. Never bank on a maybe, especially with financials. Do not do that. But I could tell you this much with great certainty: times have changed, okay? And even the most diehard of, I don't want to stockpile, and it's too much work, and it costs so much. Wrong, wrong, wrong on each count. Call me crazy on that, but I say wrong, wrong, wrong. It is not difficult to stockpile. It is necessary to stockpile. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. And as time is going by, I'm beginning to think it's even more necessary than necessary. Tell me I'm wrong. Nope, I know I'm right. So even for the diehards that do not like the idea of stockpile, well, it takes up so much space, blah, blah, blah. Listen, even people in the smallest of apartments, even people that live in RVs. I mean, I've heard stories. When there is a will, there is a way. People will find a way. People should find a way, because the worst thing is the 11th hour stockpiler. What does that mean? What's an 11th hour stockpiler? Well, did you ever hear like terrible weather reports? Now we're just keeping this on the simplistic of all levels. Bad weather, okay? And this has happened. This has happened with Superstorm Sandy. I can tell you this for a fact. There were also predictable blizzards in the past. They're warned and warned and warned some more because thankfully in modern history here, in modern day technology, people can know about bad weather approaching not 2 minutes before, like maybe 1,000 years ago. Now, people have advance notice. And even with the advance notice, if you can believe it or not, hard to believe, I know it really is. Even with all the advance notice in modern day technology, people tend to procrastinate. So what they do is they wait till the 11th hour, the last minute. That's what I'm saying, the last minute, to use the phrase 11th hour. And what do? I don't know if they enjoy doing this. They clamor in the stores, they stand on long lines, they notice empty shelves, only to no avail to get necessary items. Because what did they do? They banked on a maybe, maybe, whichever the wind may blow. Maybe in the literal sense, that terrible wind could blow your house down. I'm just saying, just saying. Of course, we all hope that never happens. Listen, look, all of us listening, I'm positive, we all hope bad things never happen, right? Who wants bad things to happen? Nobody in their right mind, right? Okay. So, what we should do is stop banking on maybes. Okay. It is not a question of if, it is a question of when. There will be a time that you will be in need of an item. Let's just even reduce it down to an item or two. For example, you're in the middle of a baking project. We're all human, we're not robots, okay? We make mistakes and we forget. You're in the middle of, let's say, a pretty good baking project, and you could swear that you had that ingredient that is totally necessary, in your active pantry. Of course, you go to look for it, and you're like, you look around, not there. But because you also planned ahead and tell me that this doesn't feel great, you take a few steps over to your stockpile, and all of a sudden you see, wow, thankfully, I do have that ingredient. It is in my stockpile. Hello, it is in your grocery stockpile. Okay. Now that's on the most simplistic of levels. All right. Now let's dial this scenario up a notch or two. Okay. So now this goes into the horrible weather situation. And there are some times where the weather does change abruptly, and we, thankfully, most of us, can be ready for it. But then there's going to be the few that, for whatever the reason, and I'm not sure the reason, maybe I can make it as similar to the thought as this. For example, let's go back to this other example. Christmas time, for those that acknowledge exchanging of Christmas gifts, okay? Now, I don't know about you, but I have never seen the date of Christmas in my lifetime change. Every single year, it is marked the same number and month on the calendar. It hasn't moved yet. No matter how old I get, it still says December 25th, Christmas Day, on my calendar every single year. And still, for those that acknowledge exchanging of gifts, some people, for whatever the reason, I don't know the reason. Maybe there is a little thrill about being part of the Christmas rush, so to speak. A little bit. For me, not a lot of it. But yet and still, there are those that love to shop, let's say 11:55 p.m. on Christmas Eve. But I'm convinced that some people that, again, back to the 11th hour. Now that could be a little fun and dandy because exchanging of Christmas gifts is optional, right? But to not have any sort of a stockpile, in my personal opinion, and keep in mind that these are all my opinions, even my suggestions, all of this is for edutational, educomical, but edu thinking, edutainment purposes. Okay, just saying, and purely based on my opinion. Okay. I bet I have a lot of people agree with this opinion. Why don't we want to err on the side of caution? That I don't understand. Another example, a person has a tiny pin dot, like literally, if you take a pen and just make a dot, like a period dot at the end of a sentence, a person has an unknown cavity in their tooth. Well, they don't know about it yet. Okay. They don't know yet. And then it gets a little bigger, and then the dentist picks it up on an x ray. Oh, you have the beginning of a cavity. Well, you can choose to have that pin dot of an uneven noticed cavity, except on x ray. Okay. And you could choose to ignore it because you don't want to fork out the money to pay for it. Just saying, just saying. You could let it go at that. Hey, listen, we live in a world of choices. You could say, I'm going to forego this treatment. And then what happens if you do? The dentist will, of course, encourage you to get it done because as a professional, the dentist is going to encourage you to get it done. And isn't it easier to get that thing corrected at that level? Or you could play waiting games and say, well, I'll wait another few months or 2 years or whatever. And then when you go back, that thing could be a gaping hole, a lot painful toothaches in between, and extremely much more expensive. I mean, the choices, the options are there, but do we have to take the wrong choice? But let's get back to the beginning. We need to stop banking on a maybe. It is with great certainty that at some point you will need to have a stockpile. Now, let's also destroy the myth of difficulty about doing a stockpile. That we could talk about when this show continues tomorrow, okay? And that's what we're going to do. We're going to take it to the next level of discussion about difficulty of stockpiling. Let's destroy a few myths about that. But in the meantime, this has been Jan from New York City. Thank you so much for listening. I really do appreciate every one of you. But I need for you to do this. Wishing everybody an amazing, fantastic day, both for you and your lovely families. Take good care now. Bye bye.